Welcome to Officelime Performance Management System. In this video, we will be demonstrating how Officelime can allow you to determine the best approach to your performance appraisal needs. One of the major features of this platform is that it allows you to practice virtually all the major types of performance appraisal, be it straight ranking appraisal, appraisal by grading, management by objective, balanced scorecard, behavioral, or 360-degree appraisal. So let's go into the system and see how the system can help you achieve all this. The PMS module is located on the left side of the screen, titled Performance System. On clicking on this, it reveals the page where the employee can get to see all their past and current appraisals. They could also have access to their team members' appraisal and indirect reports. But before we start in going deep into this, let's see what we have under the hood. And this can be viewable by the HR. So we have we'll go straight to the settings. So the settings allows you to do quite a lot, and we'll start our demo from the settings because it shows you the capability of the system. So one of the first thing we need to do is to set up appraisal cycle. The system allows you to specify how many times you want to perform an appraisal during the year. So you could do biannually, annually, or monthly, as the case may be. So currently on this system, we set up biannually on the platform. So these are the three entries that we have. So we have H1 2022, H2, H1 2021. So those are the settings we have now. So we could tinker with H1 2022 and see what we have. So this will give you an idea what the system is capable of. So we start with objective starts and end dates. So a regular appraiser have these starts and end dates kind of a thing where you specify where you want everybody to go and start setting the objectives and when the window will closes. So the system has the feature for you to determine when you want those period to start and end. Same is applicable to the scoring and when you want the scoring to end. So these are the basic settings for regular appraisals. So going deeper, we have the appraisal templates. Appraisal templates allow you to determine how you want each of the weights of the objective to be. So if you want to make the objective weight specific, you don't want people to be able to capture more than the specific weight you provide. Because some managers might be too picky and go as low as giving their team member 1, or some have seen cases where they have 0 point something for objective. So this tool allows the line manager, or rather allows the HR, to be able to specify the minimum weight that is allowable for each objectives. So this is weight range. We have another one that works hand in hand with it, which is the objective limiter. So what this objective limiter does is that it allows the HR to specify how many number of objectives that can be captured in an appraisal. So you can say you want like 8 to 15, meaning at any point in time no manager can set more than 15 objectives and less than 8 objectives. So these are controls to make sure that you have a very thoughtful process. So the next option we have is targets. So objectives are meant to be smart. And one of the requirements to make objectives smart is to specify the targets in terms of quantity. So what that means is whatever objective would have been set by the line manager, you want to quantify it. So selecting this option will make sure that there's always target tied to each objective that the manager would have set for the employee. We also have use due dates. So this again is a control to make sure that the objective that has been set is smart. So by specifying when the objective is supposed to be submitted or completed, it adds to the future of the system. So the template here determines how the objectives will be grouped. So if you have it in regular, meaning the objectives will not be grouped. If you want them grouped, you specify, and this could be by perspective. So in part of the section we're going to show you later. You're going to see all the perspective in the system. You can create your own perspective, things like financial perspective, individual perspective, customer perspective. You can add as many perspectives as you want. Then you also have grade. So if you want to use grade to separate your objective, you could also use grade here. And then finally we have upper and lower. So if you want to use upper target and lower target, then actual, to determine how you score the objectives. So we also have the options for you available here. Then we have the appraisal review. So this is more of like who get to start the process and who can do what, who get to review who. So one of the options we have here is employee can review line manager. So this is more of like a 360 appraisal kind of feature. Then we have peer can assess each other. So if you want peer-to-peer assessment, that is also available as an option. Then one of the final thing we have under the appraisal review is if you want to require reviewing manager or HODs to sign off on employees appraisal, you could also specify that here. And while doing so, you could specify if they can make amendment to the scores that must have been agreed between the line manager and the employee. Finally, we have the appraisal flow. The appraisal flow allows you to determine who gets to start the process. If employee can set the objectives themselves, that they can start setting objectives, and the traditional way is the line manager creates objectives for their employees. But nowadays these options is also available for employee to also start the process. Then you also have team member can start the score, can start scoring themselves. That's more like self-evaluation. So this can be a thing in your organization where you have employee doing self-assessment and then sending it to their line manager to review. So we also have appraisal meeting, meaning you can actually skip appraisal meeting, but it's part of the appraisal process. So if you want that skipped, you can remove that option here. Then finally we have continuous appraisal. Continuous appraisal makes sure that you can't sign off on your appraisal if you've not set up the objective for the next period. So this is to make sure that you don't need to pull people, chase people when you want them to set objectives. So their next objective is tied to their current appraisal. Any of the settings you choose here, it's actually going to determine how the system is going to turn out to be in terms of the features that you're going to end up viewing in the application. One is where you have the global perspective, more like the perspective in the system. So you can have people, customer, operational, financial, and you can create more perspective as the case may be. The system also allows you to create global objectives. So meaning if there are objectives that are tied to specific roles or tied to specific grade level in the organization, you could actually create objectives and dispatch to everybody in the particular classification, and this objective will show up in the appraisal. Take a look at what the employee will see when they go into the system. So they click on my appraisal. This part features all the appraisal the employee has in the platform. Currently you get to see the current appraisal on the top, and on the bottom you see the performance overview, what the employee has been doing over time. So all the performance over the period is going to be displayed at the bottom here, and they have access to view their old appraisals by viewing it under here. The manager also can see the team members, that's his team members, and review their own performance. Here this manager has 3 subordinates, and he can go and see all their appraisals and also see their performance over time. So each of the employee has the status of where they are in their appraisal, and that was one of the important things in the system. You get to know where you are at every point in time, because you could imagine all the stages involved in performance appraisal. So the system actually has all those parts monitored. So when you come here, you could see all the status. So it's showing you currently what status is on each of the appraisal for the team member here. And over here you can see the top performance, who is performing most in the department for this manager, and generally you could see the status of all the appraisals, so the manager can keep track of what he needs to do per time. Also have indirect reporting line, that's people that he oversee. So he's like a review manager to the people in the indirect reporting line. So let's look at how the appraisal feels like. So we already have this appraisal created for this fellow. This is on appraisal. So we click on review. On clicking on this review, we are presented with this page that shows us the templates that we've chosen based on the settings we made before. Now this is the template that the system resolved into. So your final appraisal might not look like this, but bear in mind that the system allows you to have a display in the way you want once you get the settings right. So here is financial perspective. These are the objectives that we've entered as a demo. The system allows you to specify the weight based on the guidance that you must have specified while setting it. The system will have a control to not allow you to put what is not supposed to be. So we have the weight here, we have the operational perspective, and everything sum up to 100. So one requirement is that everything has to be 100. If it's not 100, the system will not let it to go to the next stage. So part of the things we captured is you'll be able to enter the objectives and also more information. We didn't enable the target setting, so if we had enabled them, you will see those things up as an option here. One can create new objective by just simply clicking on this button, and you'll be able to capture new information. So that will alter our 100% there. So we can just delete and send this to the line manager. So when this is sent to the line manager will review, and if everything is in order, the line manager will agree. Another thing we have in this platform is the notification. So the system sends out notification as a mail, but the system has an inbuilt notification for the system to keep track of what's going on in the platform, so you don't miss anything out. It also allow you to duplicate previous appraisals. So if you have previous objectives from previous period, you could actually copy from those periods instead of starting over again. So the next thing for us to do here is to send it to the line manager to review and sign off on it. So click on this button and the document is sent to the line manager. So we can see here the status change from objective settings to objective awaiting line manager to review. So we can then go in as the line manager and see how it would look like from the line manager's point of view. So we just logged in as the line manager. So from the line manager's point of view, and line manager happens to be the MD, from his point of view, he only has access to my appraisal, direct reporting line, indirect reporting line, and appraisal status. So you can click on direct reporting line, and these are everybody that reports to him. He has 5 people that report to him. These are the statistics of what he has been doing on the profile. So we have Joshua here, which says objective awaiting line manager review. So that's the person we're actually watching out for. So we can click and you get to see the history of Joshua here, what he has been doing over time, and this particular appraisal we are concerned about, the current appraisal, that is objective awaiting line manager review. So on click on this section, we are presented with the appraisal, allowing the line manager to make modifications. So the line manager can make modification because the final appraisal objective really needs to go back to the employee to agree. But where we are coming from is for the fact that employee has the ability to start the process. That's why it's coming from the employee. So if those settings were changed from the global settings, we won't need to go through this process. Okay, so if everything is intact, he needs to send it back to the employee because the employee is the final person that we agree to the deliverables. So we need to send it back to the employee to agree. So we are back in as Joshua. So you can see that from the dashboard, Joshua can actually click review and it's saying employee needs to agree. So you can click on review or go through the process here from performance appraisal mode on the left hand side. So you get to see the status again saying employee needs to agree. Then he clicks here to review what change has been done. And at this point, you will notice that it's no more editable because the state is supposed to be ordinarily. So Joshua has two options. It's either to send it back to review manager or rather the manager to review, or just agree. So we're going to go ahead with agree. So immediately we do that, automatically the system sets the appraisal status to self-evaluation. So what that means is at this period, Joshua is supposed to go by his day-to-day activities and provide feedbacks on how he performs on the set objectives. So let's see how the interface looks like on self-evaluation page. So when Joshua clicks, he gets to see this, and this time around the system is allowing him to be able to provide comments, and the comment is very important. It's more of like a remark. And you also have where we have actual. So for every place that we have target, we have actual. So for every place we don't have those options, we have other scoring mechanisms, which you have A, B, C, D. So you could actually choose from various scoring range, as the case may be, based on your organizational preference. So you can one of the major important thing here to take note is the feedback mechanism that we have in place here. The system allows you to type comments, feedbacks, attachments, and this can also be a place where the line manager can collaborate with the team member. So you have this attached to all the objectives, and as the employee assess themselves, they can automatically evaluate score to what they are doing, and they can send this to the line manager once they are done assessing themselves. We review the system. And the next thing is to send to the line manager for their own assessment. So if we click this, the system is going to tell us that there's an error, because as part of the requirement that we set is that we need to provide comments for every objective here. So it's not okay enough that you give yourself a rating. There must be comment that goes along with everything that you said you've achieved. So we're just going to put random comments on the platform so that we can move to the next stage. So this has been sent to the manager. So the status has also been changed to line manager needs to review. So we then need to go back in as the line manager to then see what is it that they are looking at. When I log in as the line manager can then come to direct reporting line, select Joshua, and it's already saying line manager needs to review. So we click to provide feedback. So on that stage, we can then see the objective that has been set, look at what comments that Joshua had said, and then we provide our own feedback based on the results of what has been done. So this is open for manager to impute their score. We can see what the employee rates themselves. That's if self-assessment was enabled from the settings, and then the line manager can then override and provide their own score. Of course, they can agree with the employee, or they can just go ahead and specify their own section. And one other thing again that the system require is that comment is also required from the line manager to justify whatever ratings that they must have provided. So these comments can be disabled from general settings on the platform. So the next section we have is at the end of the objective section, you have a total score based on what we've been rating so far. So this person is doing like a 98, and as I modify that, those score get to update. The other part we'll have is performance factor. So this is more of like a behavioral. So this can also be captured and these depend on your data from your own end. So you could provide data for behaviorals, what you want to monitor in terms of the core value. You can decide company culture, core value, knowledge of work. So behavioral can be here. Technical skills can also be captured here. Competencies can also be captured here, and that could also factor into the entire score of the employee. And at the end, you have the final score. So currently, the system use outstanding, exceeding expectation, meeting expectation, below expectation, and is into A, B, C, and D. These can be changed. Even the band can be changed in the settings. And finally, we have where we can then do documentation in terms of the comments on the platform. So you can provide comments on this side. So these comments are designed in such a way that they only demoralize the employee. Is being specific on where they need improvement and their strengths, and also general comments. So at this point, the next thing the manager does is to schedule appraisal meeting. Mind you, the manager has already gone ahead to rate the employee, and the next point of action is for him to meet the employee, and that's why you have schedule appraisal meeting here. So you can't schedule appraisal meeting without providing other information. So if we try to schedule this appraisal meeting, it's going to tell us that we need to put some things in place. As I've said, the comment needs to be captured. So this will allow even the employee to agree with whatever score that must have been captured here. So we'll go ahead and put the comments, and we can come back here again. Okay, so trying to schedule an appraisal meeting now. So you can put the day in a feature, and you can specify also how you want the meeting, if it's physical or virtual. So if it's virtual, you select the platform, and then if there are notes that you want the employee to take note, to take care of, or maybe to bring some things to the meeting or to make preparation, those notes can be captured here so that it will be sent along with the calendar schedule that the system will send to the employee. So once you do this, automatically the appraiser then change to appraisal meeting. So a mail will also be sent to the employee telling them of this schedule. So we need to go back to the employee section to look at what we have. So we're in as Joshua. So Joshua can go and look at his appraisal. Here it's also noted that the date of the appraisal meeting has been specified here. We can go and review, and we note that what he needs to do here is just to review. He can't make any modification again, and the purpose of him coming here is to prepare for the meeting. So he has all the comments, he has all the feedback from the line manager, and then the meeting can hold. The purpose of the meeting is to plan for next year and how to do where to make corrections and what have you. So we assume that the meeting has been held, and the next thing that the line manager needs to do is to then allow the employee to make comments so that the appraiser can actually close. So there'll be a button here that allows employee to make comments so that they can go to the platform and finally provide their own piece of what they have actually done in terms of comments. So we'll go in as the employee to see the platform. We have it as employee needs to review. So that's the final step that the employee needs to do. So when we click on review, we are brought to this platform where employee can provide their final comments and then decide if they agree or disagree with the performance appraisal. So if they disagree, the system escalates to HR. If they sign off, and that means everything is good. So that part then terminates. So there are other parts to the system that we also need to demonstrate, which is appraisal status. The appraisal status is very important to the HR. The appraisal status allow you to check what's going on in the entire organization. So you get to know who is doing what part-time. So currently in H1 2021, we get to see the statistics of where what appraiser is. So you can see currently we have about 57% has not started the appraisal at all. So this can be a very useful tool for HR to police the system, to kind of get people to start the process. And you can see people that have finished their appraisal, people that are in objective settings. So the system also comes with tool that allows you to send mail to people in any of the status. So if you want to send a mail to people that are in self-assessment or in appraisal meeting or more than one of the status, you could actually specify the topic, who you are sending it to, and who you want to copy, if it's the manager or the reviewing manager, and your message can then go right in there. So this serves as also a form of notification to the employee and line manager. And finally, we have the reports. Some allow you to generate reports per appraisal per period, yearly performance, summary by objective group, development plan that employee must have captured while completing their appraisal, peer assessments, and peer assessment status. And there could be custom reports that could be needed on the fly that you could generate using the system. Thank you.